Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Somebody's Got to Do It. I am Kamama Hako, and as usual, I have a very interesting and intriguing guest with us today. She's a journalist, and her name is Nicola Cunningham. No, let me tell you, I don't know of any person named Nikki who is not a troublemaker. I personally all the Nickies that I know give trouble. And this one is the ringleader of all the Nickies. So we're going to,
Neurotic, sorry.
yeah, I don't know any Nikki that don't give trouble. So we're going to see today if she's going to live up to her name.
No, 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 no.
Nicola
I'm very much so.
Cunningham. Welcome, Nikki.
Thanks for having me on your program.
You are most
Um,
welcome.
I hope, I don't know if your viewers will find me interesting, but I'll do my best to
I'm sure
share
they
what I
will.
do so that they
And
find journalism intriguing.
yes, well, being a journalist myself, I know that it is an intriguing and interesting job. So we're going to dig into it and find out what it pertains, what are the ups, what are the downs, all of that. Because on this channel, that's what we're all about. We want to find out, exactly what goes into whatever job we're featuring, what goes into it, what's behind the scenes, what are things that people take for granted, what are things that the average person would not be privy to, right? For those Jamaicans who are familiar with Lime Tree Lane, if you remember Lime Tree Lane, so Nikki
That's
is Miss Zella, big daughter. Yes, Miss Zella. You remember Miss Zella from Lime Tree Lane? This is her big daughter. All right. So tell us. Let's start with why journalism. How did you get started in journalism?
well, it's actually a pretty um interesting beginning for me. Um, I always like to write, always. I wasn't a very good student in neither primary nor high school, but English was the one subject that I was guaranteed to get a good grade without much effort. Everything else you had to put too much effort into it, and I wasn't. I was not. I was far from being any form of scholar, but I was very good at English, halfway decent at literature. That required a little bit more work. I wasn't into the work thing, and I always liked to write. So I said, when I grow big, I want to be a writer and I want to be a DJ because I love music. So I want to spin music. So um, I got a job as a secretary in the 90s. Yes, I'm aging myself. At the Jamaica Observer. At the time, it was at Fagan Avenue. And after I was there, I became friends with another secretary that was there who used to go up to editorial all the while. And Observer at the time had started a break off newspaper, a little tabloid thing, and it was called Excess. And Excess did the night round. So they would go to what was the big famous place in Portmore at the time? Cactus. They
Cactus,
would go
right?
cover Cactus and all of this. So it was night entertainment. And at the time I was young, early 20s, so I said, let me roll out with them. And I would see what they would go and cover, and I would see what they would write. And he's like, but after that, no hard for do. I can do that.
Yeah.
So I went upstairs and I spoke to the person who was in charge. And I told him that I wanted what I wanted to do. But he didn't seem very interested in taking me on because I was like, listen, I know I don't know the ropes and I know it requires a certain amount of things, so you can always train me. Like I said, for some reason, I'm gonna leave it at that because afterwards I found out, but let me leave it at that because I'm get myself in no trouble with people. He did not. He wasn't biting. Now bite. So um, I remember there was a sales manager there, and he kept saying to me when he used to ask me for those things for him, he said, you're very good I would just tell her what I want, and you would put it together. I didn't have to. I didn't have to dictate anything to you. You just understood what the concept was and you could write it and say, you're a very good writer. And I've always been told that in my secretarial profession, my bosses would come to me and said, I need a letter to Housing Trust and I want to know why them charging me so much money when this wasn't done. And they would just tell me and I would write the letter and they
Yeah.
would like take out a word or so, but it was done. So I couldn't deal with bosses who come and say, let me dictate a letter. Don't have a problem with taking the dictation. But like them would go is like, enclosed, please find a check for $2,000. And I would sit down in the office and like, really? This is what you call me for dictate? Like, me never go to school. Me not have common sense. So
Yeah.
I knew what I was capable of. And um, eventually I left Observer and I was not working. I was only doing temp jobs. And the same gentleman who was the sales manager, I don't know how he found me, but he called me one day at home and said, a friend of mine runs this paper, Sunday Herald. I'm going to put you on to him and I tell him that you're a brilliant writer. And he said, Lord Jesus, I'm going to tell the man that fact. But go and see the man. So I went to see him. I called him and he said, yes, man, you come highly recommended. I said, I don't have any training, you know. This is all new to me, so you would have to train me. He said, no problem, man. He said, come and see me Monday. That turned out to be Desmond Richards. And I went to see him Monday. He said, you know, one man say, dress like you're going for a job interview. Although the man just said, come and see me and talk to me. So I did that. I went and said, oh, yes, man, come into my office. And the man turned around to me and said, okay, there's a JLP conference at 10 o'clock um, at Belmont Road. You're going to cover it. And I'm like, what?
Right into the deep water.
And the man just, me say him fling me in. He
Yeah.
just threw me in. And I like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I just was there. I was the most greenest, unseasoned person there. And I just say one mind say everything them say try write it down. You will make sense of it afterward. Just take like a jotting. The ironic thing, I will say this. The same man who was at the Observer who would not give me a break, he was the one I was sitting across from at the table in the conference room at the Jamaica Observer. The man who did not want to train me. And I just looked at him and his eyes was wide open like, what is she doing here?
Yeah.
Smiled and I waved. And I always remember that it's like you couldn't give me a chance for whatever reasons. And here I am, still green, but somebody else was willing
Give you a
to
chance.
give me a chance. And you could see that he felt uncomfortable. We have never spoken since then, ever. But the position that he holds, I see him from time to time. I still see him. He passes me like he doesn't know me. And I still have that smile on my face because you not giving me that opportunity did not stop me from getting to where I am. When one door closed, you kick the next one
Another one
open.
open.
It's as simple
Definitely.
as that.
Right.
So Desmond gave me the opportunity, he taught me about the what's it, the four W's, the who, the why, the where, the what. And then you know you have the how. And it was let me you know the job. You know, come on. So you know that
Yeah.
sometime I would write a story and this man say, what the hook? The story not a hook it boring. You have to hook them in the first paragraph. Hook them. Give them something when they read it, them say, yes, them want to read paragraph two, them want to read paragraph three, them want to read it and I'm like, this thing with a hook. And sometime I was there, write the story, them and me say, you know in your mind when you do a good job from when you not do a good job. So what would happen is I wanted to go home in the evening time, and this man would keep me there writing and rewriting and re-editing until I get it right. So sometime when he went on the road, and I would call the security at the gate, and I tell them, I said, "Tell me when you see him come," because where Observer was, not Observer, where Herald was on
Sunday.
Hazel Park Road, there was a printry on the compound, so you could walk from the office building through the printry and come out. So while he's coming in the parking lot, me just lock off the computer, grab my bag, run through the printer, and out at the gate at the bus stop. I mean, gone my yard because what is the final edit on his desk already? He can cuss and go on bad when I'm not there, because this is the days before cell phone became popular. So
Yeah.
I sent him a Costco, me no did it. So that's how I got my start. He honed and he filed and him, what you call it? He shaped me down and filed me down,
Yeah.
sandpaper me
Mr.
down. He
Richards.
got me to where he wanted me till it reached the point where we would have like these, it was good nature competition to see who are gonna get the cover or the cover of the paper you want. None of want inside, we want the cover story. So all of us used to say, all right, who will get the cover this week? And you get the cover and people tell us a good job. Him? Hey. So what you want a pat on the back? What is it you want? Eh? Him say nobody make that flap in your head. Remember this is newspaper. 2 days from now, people take it rub fish. So nobody make it flap in your head. Move on to the next story. Like you come in here like you want me pat you on the back and tell us say you're an award winning journalist. Next story, what is the next story? What story idea? So he knew how to work you and keep you humble.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a lot of things to say about him, good, bad, and the indifferent. But I
Mm-hmm.
will always remember he was the man who was willing to take a chance on somebody who was green and knew absolutely nothing. That man
Nice.
has molded. And when you talk to a lot of older journalists, I would say people 35 and older. I mean, me being generous at 35. So many of them who have moved on to how much different positions in life will tell you that they got their start with that man who was willing to try with anybody who was willing to put in the work. A
Yeah.
lot of students used to come from Carrimack and him would have we, you understand, be there with them, they go on the beach with us, and he was always willing to give the little man or the
A
unknown
chance.
man a
I
chance.
definitely got my start with Desmond Richards, and that's where I met you, Nikki, at the summit.
Right, right, right.
Yes, I
So
can attest to that.
So
And
that's how I got started
his
in
record.
news investigative. And then the other part of Sunday Herald was the magazine, which was Pure Class. And
Right.
after a while, Christine King looked at me and said, I want you to cover something for me. And she poached me from the news. And Desmond was not happy. He said, you know, for the noise ride fluff. Come back and ride. But you see, that was where I could put my creativity into it. You can't create news
I
write it
understand
within a
completely.
particular
Yes.
parameter. But with social and
With the
entertainment,
features, yes.
I could be my most creative. So I gladly said goodbye and went over to the other desk. So that is my start in a nutshell.
Right. So, where are you from?
Born in Kingston, one road away from Alpha Tree Clock, there was a nursing home almost across from where Holy Child is now. I was born. And when I said nursing home, that is what they actually call maternity homes. Nursing home, not nursing home for old people. You give birth and you nurse the baby, so them call them
Okay.
nursing homes. Because my mother said there's no way on earth she was going back down to Jubilee after she had my brother. She had a horrible experience and she hated that hospital.
Oh,
So I was born in a private nursing home. I grew up in Johnstown. I wouldn't say grew up, was resided in Johnstown for about 3 years. But because I'm a 70s baby, when the war started and the
1980.
shooting and so, my mother said she can't deal with this because as you introduced me as Zella's daughter, she had to do pantomime and pantomime over like after 10. Didn't have a car, nowhere near having a car at the time. So
Yeah.
she had to actually literally walk because nobody now carry you in there. Walk into Johnstone community, past the gunman them, hail
Oh,
them up, wave to them, then wave back to her because they know her.
yeah.
Come in at night time and sometimes she would get a call at work to say, don't come because it's really bad.
Yeah.
And even though them not mean and you them a shoot at, bullet not have eye and bullet not have discretion, you can get shot. So sometimes we would sleep all over Harbor View with a friend here, catch for somebody. And this continued for months till she said, no, it not go work. So she started preparing. She said she need her own place out of this. Eventually we moved to Britain in Portmore,
What?
Breton Phase 1, right beside Marine Park, and that is where I grew up. But
Okay.
I will just give you a little story about how we got there.
Sure.
It was $7,000, I think, was the cost of the house at the time. Let me tell you, 7 grand.
My God.
And I want until I said it might have been $7 million at the time. It was the 70s. And at the time, you had to find 10%, which was $700. That in itself was also a king's ransom. And the person was working with her say, you have 6 months to find the $700. So yeah, I'm tell you how long you have to, so you know, say, I will put money for you take 6 months to find.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother scrape and scrape and scrape and scrape. And nowhere near there. Two children for mine, plus my mother, my grandmother, and paying rent and so. So she started making belts. First it was Rasta belt, macrame, and then my grandmother them would sit down at night and cut up the wool and whatever, and make the belts and find whichever them hear about one little fear, whether
Mm-hmm.
it be them or anyway, go and sell the belt them. And she sold. She would stay up almost every night for months, making belt, go to work, sell belt at work, sell belt. She dep on the bus, ask anybody take out the belt, anybody like it, sell belt. And you know when we are talk about maybe like a $2, $2, $3, $3 come in, you know, because you need to get to 700. When you
Yeah.
get 700 from two and one and 50 cents, a whole it you have to make.
Yeah.
The 9 months came, not the 9 months, the 6 months came, and she went to the lady, and she had something like $620. And she had ball because she tell the lady, say she tried everything. Nobody now give her no loan, nobody now lend her no money. This is what and the lady said, no worry yourself. I actually, it's actually 9 months you have. But me know say if me tell people say 9 months, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get complacent. So you actually have 3 more months, but that is it. So go and go make the other $80. And that's what she did and came up with the deposit. Went, looked, she looked at Waterford, she looked at different places, and eventually she settled on Britain, and we
Great.
moved. We moved to Britain. No no fence, no real transportation. Crabber come out of the toilet bowl. I don't remember this, you know, this is what they told me because I was like 3.
Yeah.
Because remember, part of it was dumpland, or the
Yeah.
land was dumped up. So crabber come out of the toilet bowl, crabber come out of the land. It was like virgin territory, but it was your own. It was a 2 bedroom house, and it was your own.
Absolutely.
Coa pass by your bedroom window. Cause you don't have no wall yet. All of that had to be built. But
These
um,
were the original Portmore
original Portmore
settlements.
houses. I
Original
lived
settlements.
near to the
Mm.
hillside, so I could literally walk to the hill, the Hellshire Hill.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I think my brother was the one who was wicked enough to tell me when I was a child that on the other side of that hill was America. So from me at 3 to when me about 10, every summer me I pack my bag.
Oh my
I,
God.
and up is a proper hill we are talking about, you know. Proper hill. And I know, and a little mountain. So me always pack my bag, buckle of
Did you
water,
get
a
there?
little food because me a reach. Me a go America, the America when me sit on TV with people a roller skate and sunshine and this beautiful country. There's some all know me can reach halfway. None of these are sicket, something that bite me, and then eventually somebody tell me say wild boar up there, me fi careful. And from me hear about the wild boar, me tap, me say all right, it has to go be one plane to take me over the car. It look like say it look like me not destined for just walk go America. So that
Nikki,
was
this
my
one for me. This
more
one for me. Adjust your laptop. Right.
better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
All right. You became a teen mom though.
yeah,
Tell us about that.
okay. Got pregnant at 16. Um, had my daughter at 17. I was in fifth form. Um,
So you're about to do your exams.
yes, I want to tell you, I got pregnant during, um, at the time, I don't know if they still do this. You get 2 weeks study leave. like in May to go off and study for 2 weeks, and then exams would start. At the time, exams started June. I think now them start like May.
Me,
So
yeah.
went off in May, get 2 weeks, and then for the exam. Me before me there my yard a study. Me left my yard, go and look for
Oh
friend
my
me
God.
go and look for, and come back pregnant. I will leave it at that. All I will say is this. Hey, if I talk my truth, I am about to be
Absolutely,
50.
absolutely, because it has helped to shape you, you know.
Right. I'm
Mm-hmm.
about to be 50, so anything anybody said no, me can't tell them still news because everybody's supposed to don't know that. So I left and I went to my brethren's house. And at the time I saw this group of guys watching and them a kiki and I said, what go on? This a cassette deal. And when me turned around and looked on the TV, the people were doing these acts on TV that I never saw before. That
Mm-hmm.
was the first blue movie me ever see. And I turned my inside it and like them something that possible. I'm like, what the dick inside they doing? No clue. Talk about naive. Me not know to say. Everybody find their way to find something to do or just after time eventually just branched out and left. Left me there and my friend because he was my child's father and it was he's the longest male in my life other than my brother. That's how far we come from when we just moved there. He's about a year older than me. So we basically grew up together. So him want experiment and do the things them what them see on the screen. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just it was it was a shit show in short. But I went home the day
Oh Lord.
and I remember this clearly. My grandmother said to me, where you gone so long? And I couldn't answer. And I sat down there and I sat down and I remember my underwear being wet.
Mm-hmm.
Me not understand nothing about semen and them something there. Said me should have did take off that long time. I shouldn't have had it on.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically sat down and it marinated.
Mm-hmm.
So because in my mind I'm like, did he actually do anything? Was there actually physical penetration? Me can't remember. Couldn't I honestly could not remember.
Yeah.
Boy, when you're young and you're dumb is a hell of a thing. So after that, like, so I did exams. Summer is here. I'm supposed to be going away. But before I went away, I was supposed to do the summer camp for School of Drama, Edna Manley. And this is where I already knew Christopher because Christopher was in Lime Tree Lane. This is
Nikki,
where I
Nikki, you adjusted it too much now.
better.
No, go back down a little. Yeah, yeah.
All
Keep
right,
it, keep it like that.
right. So Durban,
That's
Malcolm, and all
Christopher. That's Johnny.
Christopher Daly, right? And there I met Durban, Malcolm, and a lot of other people who would go on to do things in media and things in entertainment. And we were all there for the summer. But before I could get comfortable, I went there for 1 week and then just start feeling nauseous and feeling sick. And I mean, I've never been that sick in my life. Sick, sick, can't keep nothing down, vomiting out my soul case, just sick, awful. Go how much doctor, them say me have gastroenteritis. Give me this whole battery of medication. And I'm telling you, nothing crossed my mind. It never occurred to me. It did not occur to me why I was sick. So I was not there at the summer camp for almost 2 weeks. By the time I came back, they'd already picked characters. So I just had to be in the background, in the crew. Never had a problem with that. I've never liked to be in front of people. I like being back anyway. That's why I chose writing versus like the people who like to do like being front the TV host or presenter.
Right.
Me
So,
feel more comfortable with my words.
yeah.
So went back, still sick, but I was at least able to get through most of the day. Um, I knew when I was gonna be sick, so I knew what to do. Dip on bus and feel sick. I walk a road and feel sick. Vomit too much time on road, almost vomit on bus, and it still never occurred to me. So because I was sick, they said that, it don't make no sense in her go foreign to August because this was the whole of July. Because I make no sense in her go foreign and she sick up there with them. And me's like, oh no, all right. Me want go away. Me know me want go away. So
Mm.
I used to hide, then start hiding being sick and say, see, I'm much better now. So I get up in the morning before everybody get up, eat and vomit and clear my system because that's what
Mm.
I found. Once I got it out, it's like my head would be clear. So I can then continue my day. So I was hiding the fact that I was sick now and went overseas, vomit one day in front of my aunt and she said, huh? Something a come. Me not pay no mind. I didn't even know that she called my mother and said she's pregnant. And my mother tell her life on my picnic and blah blah blah. She me don't know half a hour gone. Came back, exam results were out because like this time CXC result was out. Like I said, I was not a very good student. Did 8 subjects, got 3. My mother was really upset. Because she met me at the airport with the results. I mean, when you're gone for how long, your parents are supposed to miss you. When me come back
Mm.
up here, school face missing. So I say, how happened? And then I went to the school and collected your exam result. I'm like, okay, that explains everything. And I need to hear not more. I know why your face looks so. And then she handed it to me. English language, English literature, and religious education. Those were the 3 I passed. And
Mm.
I wouldn't say I only passed RE, but the main reason why I passed RE was because I had a serious crush on the RE teacher. That man was like God to me. He was absolutely gorgeous with his hazel eyes. Me not call him name. Come go call him name for Facebook the other day and people are still commenting about it.
Call him name.
Me
Wanna
not call him name. Mr.
tell
Ashley,
me
don't
who?
know, don't know. Mr. Ashley, Mr. Ashley. And I remembered I was so focused because back then, I don't know, my generation, when you like somebody, you want to do your best for them. And I like now when you're sliding at people DM and I wear no underwear and I be upfront and bold and brash. I had a serious crush on that man, and that man never knew because I
Mm.
said nothing. My goal was I'm going to be teacher's pet, I'm going to be his favorite student, I'm going to excel. So as lazy as me be, once me get an assignment, it's gonna be done to the best of my ability. Me go out of my way for do my research, go library, get the things done. So I was an A student in RE, coming from a D student when I was doing it in third form. And I remember I had
There's
to do
nothing like inspiration.
what? So I remember I had to do a project and it was something like tracking Jesus's journey with his disciples. And I remember I went and I didn't just do the writing. This was before computer days, really. So I illustrated for each section. Me draw, color it in, put it together. So each chapter start with an illustration, a little quote of what one of the disciples. When me say me do the work proper,
Right.
when the man get the work, when we get back to work, the man cuss the whole class, but all they lazy, or they not, oh, him disappointed, and everything the slap brush and him say, my one shining student is Nicola. Me, I want a secret for my face. Nicola, give me hope that this generation is not lost. You must say, I could have sit here all day. When I read the comment at the back of the thing, I remember the man say, this is the kind of genius work that I expect from my student. I say, the man said, me? Oh, genius? I say, I, I think the only thing left for me to do, I frame that. I was on cloud 9.
I can imagine.
The man said,
So,
him go coach football. Nikki gonna join football team. What you talk, say?
so
Nikki
what
gonna
cloud
go.
were you on when you finally realized that you were pregnant? When it
Um,
really get home to you, the reality of that.
I went back to school to repeat fifth form. That's what I went to do. Surprisingly, I was doing better than original first time round, but I knew something wasn't right. And I every day what happened like by 3:30, I would basically almost get knocked out. Knock out me mean me fall asleep any which way me day. School over 1:40. I lived in Portmore. So I need to get from half a tree back home before me get knocked out. And I had a group of friends I had to wait on. No, Andrews is like this. Everybody, every house have duty. So when I sweep duty or a whatever duty, my friend the man is like, but am I weak for sweep? And I'm telling you, when me done help them sweep and done speed them up because we need to get on the bus and I need to get home. And me not having it and me I yell and me I scream and me I bark after them. It's afterwards when everything come out, them say, now we know why you were so miserable. I mean, we have to take the bus by X time because I have to reach home by X time. And I'm going home, eating, and I'm knocking out till maybe like 8 in the night. And my grandmother is telling my mother, unbeknownst to me, she is pregnant. She is pregnant. And my mother is saying, no, 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 nothing wrong with her. She just sick. And I got real ill about October that I had to go to the family doctor. Was not showing because every day me get up, because at the back of my mind, me is like, could you be? Because some of them symptoms they kind of go along with pregnancy. I'm like, no, because me never do nothing. Me know me never do nothing. Me don't know what him do, but me know me never do nothing. So if me never do nothing, nothing supposed to do there. And me I look on my stomach and me still flat.
If anything, I'm supposed to pregnant. No.
All right, stomach flat same way. So I went to the doctor and he's examined me with the stethoscope and then him a come down the chest and him reach stomach. And I remember looking at his face and him look at me and him a feel my belly. And he said, Nicola, are you pregnant? I said, no, Dr. Peart. Nicola, you're not pregnant. I said, no, Dr. Peart. Because, listen, denial is not just a river in Egypt. If me say it not go so, then it cannot be true. Him say, Nicola, are you a virgin? Yes, Dr. Peart. Okay. He said, no, just go in the bathroom and pee in this cup for me and bring it back. Okay. Me not know say I'm pregnancy test the man I go push stick in her when me gone. He gave me some medication. I went home. All right, fine. Me forget all about that. But a couple of days later, my mother is driving me to school. And I say she didn't go the regular road. She turned and go back road to then go over the bridge. And the car pull up along the side of the road. And I wonder why she stopped if the car having a mechanical problem. And she turned to me and said, is there something you need to tell me? I said something like, what? Me not nothing to tell you. She said, you're pregnant. I said, no, I'm not. Why everybody come with this? She said, Dr. Peart did a test and you are pregnant. And me sit down and me want to run for my life. Run, me want to run. What me tell her say? Yeah, me know, oh, okay then. What do I do now? Yeah, me know, she gonna put me out. After she chop me up, then she gonna put me out. So what me I gonna do? And come on, me I expect the cousin, couple chop, couple slap, even one bag pack and fling outside. I was expecting all of that at this point. And she did the worst thing possible. She did none of that. She did worse than that, come on. You know what she did? Start ball.
Oh my God.
Sat down in the car and she ball and she ball and she ball. I felt like bubble gum or spit out chewing gum on the bottom of somebody's shoes bottom. That's what I felt. I felt like dirt. Cause the woman then talk about all her hopes and her dreams just dash away. And oh, she invested in me for me come out to be something and said me go to the best school that me never want for nothing. And how are this me amount to? And me I got turn baby mother. And sell scallion and onion in a market down a coronation mark. And I'm like, I just sat there. What was I to do more than just listen? Eventually she dry her eye and carry me go to school. So I'm like, okay. Next day she said, let's see if we can get you through December, finishing up school, and then we'll make a plan from there. Because after that, you definitely will be showing. So me a girl who used to like wear my liquor. Them time the Andrews uniform was the blue and the yellow. Night little cutesy old uniform.
Right. Very
The
tight.
new one them me now wear because them big. I had to resort to wearing the newer ones and trying to suck in my stomach all the while because little belly start come up. And one day the guidance counselor looked at me funny and she said, "Come here." I said, "Yes." She said, "Are you pregnant?" Come on, sometimes it does get tired. I say, "Yes." Just get tired. Me get tired for sucking my gut. So yes. She said, "Okay."
It's not something you could hide for long, you know. So
Right. And she said, "Okay." She said, "You need to come to with me to the principal office." I said, "Backside. I eat this now, you know. I eat this." Went to the principal's office and you want to look at the woman give me the look of disgust, but me not say a word to her. And she called my mother and tell my mother must come in the next day. And then she said, "Well, you have to go to the woman center. That's where we send all our pregnant girls." I said, "Okay. So just finish up this week, and next week, we'll send all your information and your file to the woman center." I said, "Okay." Then I should think somebody like a ball or beg or something. So that last day of school, now this was about like the Wednesday. Friday, I told all of my group of friends, and they were all surprised, but they were so supportive. That is why my daughter ended up having 8 godmother. The entire group, I couldn't choose one. All 8
yeah.
ended up being her
And you
godmother.
yourself are a godmother to several kids, huh?
To 8 end up being
Eight.
a godmother to 8.
So
Can you
your
imagine?
daughter
You have
has
to come
eight
to with the
and you're
number
a
11.
godmother to eight.
Right.
And you said that
And
this experience, Nikki, has kind of made you passionate about child advocacy.
right.
Hmm.
Um, I remember I even went back years later to the woman center to give a talk about being a teenage mother is not the end of the world and how you can rise
Yes.
above it. Because I'm telling you, at the woman center, it was not only an eye opener, it was the best place for me. It was. It turned out to be such a godsend. That institution has done so much good because um, I will always say this about St. Andrew High School. They did not leave me. I was still able to do my CXC. They took the money from my school fee because remember I was out of school. They took
Right.
the rest of my school fee for the year and they paid for my subjects. And they sent down all of my course material. I sat my exam at Woman Center and then they came and they collected it. So when after all of this, my results were at the school. And after I had a baby, got my results, got my enough subjects. I remember the vice principal at the time said, "We're starting a commercial school, you know. Would you like to come back? We're doing secretarial studies." And I'm like, "You want me back on this campus, yeah? Oh, not sure." She said, "Yes. Everybody fall down, but you get up. You have done remarkably well for yourself."
And I'm
He's
sure
like,
your mom is so proud of you now.
"No,
Yes.
no."
Yes.
But then, oh
No
God,
more tears.
in the house, it was, I got the silent treatment. I never got run out. I got the silent treatment for months. A
Yeah.
couple of years ago, I remember sitting down with her. I said, "You were not nice to me." She said, "I wasn't." I said, "No, you were not nice to me. You were not nice to me." I said, "My grandmother was exceptionally nice to me because I remember when I came home the day after the big revelation, my grandmother said, "I'm tell them, but nobody listens to me because me don't know nothing like say. I have 8 me know when woman pregnant." And I remember my grandmother at this time, you live in a community, people are gonna talk. My grandmother went to the end of the walkway, put her hand on her kimbo and said, "Yes, she breed and she not kill nobody. So anybody have a problem with it, come to me." And she went back inside. That was it. Nobody dared to, if you have to talk behind my back, but you can't come to me with nothing because my grandmother was not having it. My grandmother was my big support. Anything I wanted to know,
Mm-hmm.
she that she go out and she buy bird eye for make nappy. She send money and buy shimmy. It was me and my grandmother. Cause like I said, my mother was still up in her feelings. Look what I said, it up in your feelings. You were up in your feelings, she said, and rightfully so. I said, but you were a teen mother. So and that is why I
Yeah,
didn't
she
want you to
wanted the
become man.
cycle to be broken. See,
Right. So I'm like, but I thought she would have been more understanding. She was not having it.
she
She
understood, but she just, she wanted
I
this.
know, looking back no, I understood, but at the time I'm like, my mother, I remember she called my daughter's father over to the house and tell him, say, if you don't mind this picnic, I'm going to hold her by 1 foot and fling her over your yard. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not having any picnic in this house that I have to pay for. You're going to look after your child. And him promised her faithfully. We never became a couple. We were never a couple. We
Yeah.
were an experiment. That's what happened that day. So we were never officially a couple. And I think, if anything, it fractured the relationship that we had because we were friends. And eventually it broke down because he kept trying to put all of these rules in place as me being in baby mother that me not, I couldn't figure out where was he going with all of this and why was all of this necessary. We need to go out together. We need to go shopping together. I said, we don't need to shop. Me shop and you shop and we bring back the things and that is it. And if he saw me talking to somebody who was a male, he would always be interrupting. And it was too much for me because I knew in my mind this was not my person. This was not the
Yes.
person I wanted.
Right.
I liked you as a friend, but there are certain qualities that you had as a male, as a man, that never aligned with mine. So I never saw myself with him, and it was upsetting for him to be rejected to the point that after she was born, a couple months after she was born, we got into a physical knockdown, drag out fight. And pleased to know I did not lose.
I believe you.
He did
You know,
hand,
hear me declare the Nikki from beginning, from the get go. So
and I was fighting with the baby in my arm. Didn't
yes, I
realize that
believe
for half
every
the
word.
time. Okay. And
I
he had
believe
two
every
hands
word.
at a nail, but him drape me up.
Yeah.
Like, come go your yard. And I'm like, I'm I have to say this. My mother grew me a certain way, certain
Mm-hmm.
behavior and certain me no want to say inner city, me not style nobody.
Right.
Certain behavior what you say. I am not used to, I am not accustomed. Me not know them things there. So man a haul and pull woman and a go on like me, I couldn't figure out where this was coming from because we never had that kind of relationship. And for you now, because I'm your baby mother, to feel so you own me and you want haul and pull me. I wasn't having it. I
Exactly.
was
Well,
raised by two strong women and I've never seen my mother being abused, never saw my grandmother being abused. Me not used to certain behavior. So that day that me decide, say, you know what, once and for all, I'm going to shut this down.
shut it down.
All right.
Well, Nikki, you wrote for Pure Class, that magazine,
Right.
Pure Class. And if you were not someone of Pure Class, you would not have over the years been given the opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the movers and shakers and the
True.
socialites in Jamaican society. We're going to look at some of the picks because we always allow our guests to share some picks with us. So we're at that section now. So I'm going to play kind of like a slideshow. And what I want you to do for me, for each pick that you see, Nikki, just in a couple seconds for each pick, tell me what comes to your mind. Maybe you don't remember the exact event,
Mm-hmm.
or if you do, you can share, or if you just want to say something about the person. And these are some of the real movers and shakers of Jamaican society. So here we go. All right. So just say, who is this? Where were we? What were we doing? I will move on to the next one.
Okay, that was Beanie Man. That was actually more recent. Like that was during COVID.
Okay.
Um, Met him a couple of times. Actually took a picture with my daughter with him. I don't even know where that picture is. Um, he's a comedian. From him walk into the room, he was just cracking jokes. He's very affable and very likable. Somebody that you like being in his space.
All right.
I think this is my most treasured picture. This is me and the late Byron Lee from Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. Um, he was actually my friend, not just somebody I interviewed, but somebody who I used to go to his house. He was a gentleman, a very gentle giant, and nice and decent person, and I miss that man a lot. He was. It was an honor to have known him.
Yeah.
Ah, this is me and Sister P. Is a woman I admire. I don't know why. I can't tell anybody why I've always liked Portia. And it have nothing to do with any political affiliation. I just always is somebody I've always admired. Yes, me and Sister P. I just had the day just like I want my picture. This was her media party in the night again. And of course, I forgot to take picture with my Sister P.
Of course. All right. Who is this?
This is Brittany. I think her name is Lion. She was a, you see her, sir, she was a Miss Jamaica. This was about 2008 or 2009. Found out that we had friends in common. So yeah, this was I did an interview and afterwards she wanted to take the picture. And he's like, my head not tan good. And she's like, come take a picture.
Okay.
This is me and Christopher with Elva. We were at a party in Boone Hall. That was a good day. It was me and Elva and Christopher as usual just running at the picture.
So for those who don't know the Christopher part of it, this is Johnny. Is Johnny we know
Right.
him as. Right.
Johnny, Christopher Johnny
Johnny from
Daly
Lime Tree.
and Elva Ruddock, the late Elva Ruddock.
Okay.
This is an Olympian. Oh man. This was shortly after the athletes did so much, got so much medal in 2008 at Beijing. I cannot remember his name right now, but
It
I just
soon
think you
come
see
up.
me a old lamp on the man waist.
Yeah, that me wonder how I go on, you know,
Very height
Nikki.
and type of man, this the body,
Me
this
wonder how I go
thing.
on with the hand
This
there, you know.
if me even just say me gone.
Nobody never
Just
bust
have
your
to
head
say
when you're done.
he's actually very shy though. He was actually very shy. You know, I'm not gonna look up his name. He was an Olympian. I remember
Okay.
that much.
So
This is
one
me
next,
Shaggy.
I saw you love all of people, you know, Nikki. Look,
You
so.
can't tell when I have a little thing for the man name and you see me hug them up. Listen, man. If Shaggy wife give me a night, she don't get him back. But this was me and Shaggy. Yeah. He's a very nice person. Very
Yeah,
nice
so
to
I
talk to. Always
hear.
accommodating.
And these are genuine smiles I'm seeing.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
not getting the feeling that, oh, you just itch up beside the people,
Mm-mm.
them and them give you a blind. No, these are
No.
genuine smiles. This shows relationship, you know?
Right. This is Veronica Campbell Brown. This was, I think, during the same time when the athletes came back. Yeah, and she was put. This was just a, I want a picture with you kind of picture. It's
Yeah.
not somebody I've ever interviewed or had a long interaction with,
Okay.
but she was willing to that night.
All right. We're going to continue this, but I have to go to a different batch. So I have to stop share and start over the share. So just
Okay.
hold on again. You know, it's always interesting um, when our guests share their picks. You know, it gives us an idea of what they're all about, and
I
so
have met some, this job has afforded me to meet people from all walks of life. And I think to me that's the most interesting and the most fulfilling thing. Today they're on the roadside with somebody, a jelly man, and tomorrow I am in the company of the Queen, literally the company of the Queen. I had that opportunity, I think in about 2002. I have forgotten that I remember. I have forgotten more celebrities than I actually remember. Trust me.
I can imagine. But Nikki, you ever take advantage of this to the point where, I mean, you've met so many celebrities, so many socialites. You ever find yourself in a crunch and you take advantage of the fact that you know XYZ and probably
Never,
ask for a little favor?
never. I think,
Never.
and maybe that is why I am. I don't want to say still at. I think that maybe that's why I am where I am at today because I know most journalists do, but I
Yeah.
have never done that. And it never crossed my mind. I do remember this. I will be completely, totally honest. About 3 years ago, I had to do an interview with a man who is a billionaire,
Hmm.
Jamaican billionaire. I happen to have known his grandfather from when I was one of my first secretarial jobs. And we hit it off. And I had to write a story about him. And he loved the story. And I remember at the time I was going through a serious financial crunch. And when we were partying the day, I said to him, you know, because you do so much different, you have so much different work and jobs. If you ever need somebody to do PR for you, I'm available. I'm just putting it out there. I think it was the only person I ever said it to. And he said,
Okay.
sure, man. And I remember I said, what? I remember one day I was brainstorming. I said, who do I know? Who do I know? Who do I know? And I came across his business card. And Nikki, that is me, say, you know you ain't gonna write that, man. You know you're not that kind of person. I said, but me not asking, me asking him for work. Me not asking him, do me a favor. You understand? Like give me a money. And I wrote to him, um, outlining, um, reiterating again what I wanted in terms of if there was any PR work. And him said, sure, man, if cause I'm doing some project with him and he said, if you ever need somebody to do
I'm not hearing you again. You lost your audio. Check your audio. Check your mic, Nikki. I'm not hearing you, Nix. All right, let me stop sharing for a while and see if I can get you back. All right, so we're going to wait for Nikki to join us back, and then we'll continue sharing her photos that she brought with us. So, Nikki, as she said, she was raised in Kingston and St. Catherine. So, between Kingston and Brayton in St. Catherine, a teenage pregnant mother, and she got strength from this experience, right? She gained strength from this experience. She went through it, all of the negativity that persons were trying to stigmatize her and trying to tell her that nothing can come of her after this, but she was steadfast, right? So while we're waiting for Nikki to join us again, let me just read because I sent her a questionnaire. Let me just read some of the responses that she gave. So Nikki, I knew her at the from the Sunday Herald. She was a journalist there, and I was a freelance writer with the Sunday Herald. Nikki has gone on, though, while she's still practicing journalism, she has also gone on to do other work, guidance counseling, psychology work. So let me check if she's back with
I'm back.
us.
You can hear me? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm
GPS is
hearing
just
you
stop
now.
playing with
Right.
people. That was
Okay.
all GPS.
All right, so we're
So
gonna
then I,
continue the slideshow, Nikki. So let me go back to sharing now. Oh, you wanna finish up the story?
which one was? Oh yes,
Um,
the Jamaican billionaire.
right.
So I
Yeah.
wrote to him and he said, yes, no problem down the road. He has some projects that would need some PR for maybe to even to just do like the brochures. And I said, no problem. Because I've done brochures before in terms of just write the content that would people would put on the back or inside. But nothing ever came out of it. I saw him again after that and he run come over and hail me, but I don't know if he forgot. So I left it at that. But I will tell you this one story quickly. Another one, it just reminded me of that. That one was more recent. That one was like last year. Um, Another young guy who was doing great things in the financial industry, have him own business. This is a guy who come from super humble beginnings, come from nothing, and him
Mm,
sent himself through school, did very well, and he had a loan company. Them provide loan, small and medium sized loan. And at the time I was going to school and I need to finish up my degree, but I needed money. And I jokingly said to him, then since you provide loan, I mean I can get one loan. And he said that's no problem. I say, I no favor me asking him because if I loan, me know me have to pay it back. And he said that
mm,
is not a problem. Me say, and I remember saying to him, don't tell me that, you know. And then when time come, and him look at me and say, I said no problem. So if I said no problem and I am the CEO, it is not a
mm.
problem. And I said, sorry, boss. Sorry, I apologize. But I
Yeah.
know why I said it. Come on. I had the man number because I had to go and do the interview. I could have called from now till next never. I could have emailed from now till next never. No. Remember, me not ask you to dig your hand in your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
All I wanted you to do is just put me onto somebody possibly who could
Right.
work out maybe a more preferential term for me
Yeah.
to get a loan to pay for school. The man no answer, nothing, nothing the man no answer, not one thing. Saw
Well.
him again at AC Marriott where I had to go and do another interview with somebody. And I just sat down there. There's no way he could walk past me because the person I was talking to was apparently somebody he knew. So I'm just like, hey, how everything? No, you see the thing with me? Me not play pocket, Can't do it. In my nature. And even if I want to play it, my face is a dead giveaway what me not in here.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody I come over for a hug. I said, look what me give him.
Make a U-turn.
I just left him. It was so awkward. I don't care. Why would you go through all of that? And then, because I'm telling you, I had his number. I sent him a WhatsApp message. And I know some people can take off the blue tick, but he did not. I could see when he read the messages.
Yeah. But I have a problem with people who just can't say no.
Just say no and done.
Just say no. Exactly. Who is this we're looking at, Nikki? Who is this with you?
Okay, this guy, Jesus have mercy. His name is Siobhan. He's in a band. I don't remember if it's C sharp, G's and P's. But the reason he's in one of them big man is not Roots Underground. That is not the Roots Underground guy. Which Underground guy have locks that was out. I was in a play, not a play. I was in a TV production in early 2000 that I auditioned for. Believe it or not, I didn't even remember that. And my mother got the part, and I had to play a younger version of my mother. I
Oh,
had to play young, but I had to audition like everybody for it.
yeah.
And he played my husband. Every
Oh,
time I see him after that, Mr. say, Wagwan hubby, are we Wagwan wifey? And I remember we had a scene, we had a intimate bedroom scene. Lord Jesus, it was the most uncomfortable
oh
thing.
my
When the
goodness.
two was supposed to under the sheet, and me just have on a strapless bra, and he had to be on top of me. And I said, I give kudos to people who act under these scenes all the while because me I tell you, because I died for them say, cut!
All right, who are these beauties?
These beauties are two Miss Jamaica. You have Sarah Lawrence on my right, and then you have Oh, jeez, I'm preaching. Going to kill me. Um, the Rising Star host. Oh my God. She's my friend and I forgot her name.
Is that Denise?
No, that's not Denise.
She looks like Denise.
So Sarah, and people said that they actually look alike. I think they won 1 year after each other. Oh my gosh.
It
I
soon
can't.
come back to you,
It will
Nikki.
come back to me.
Know
This
that.
is this is me and Mrs. Golden, Lana Golden, who is my friend. Even then, I remember when going back to the question that you asked, but she's my friend. I
Yeah.
remember when Bruce Golden won. Because we were such good friends, people looked at me and said, Nikki, you're set because you're his friend. Them tell me say you're set because you and I know that a lot of journalists branch out and become PR for these people or
Yeah.
end up working in the office of the prime minister. And that never happened, but we will leave it at that. But I remember people saying, do we owe you and Mrs. Golden tight? I mean, I used to go to their house. Um,
Yeah.
he and I not so much, but she and I would sit down and talk about her bakery in Olab. And I remember she said she was the first person who introduced. I don't remember if it was cheese patty, but something flaky, some
Mm.
flaky thing. That was her concept, and we would sit down and we would talk. And she was like a second mother to me. But
Wow.
yeah, I remember. This is Movado. This was at I think it had a birthday party, and I had to cover it. And at the time, he's not necessarily my type, but the body not too bad. Me can't tell her that. I only
Yeah.
not me can't tell her say the body not too bad.
So me
You know,
love the slim as them too, you know.
Why? The golly god, yeah. All right. This is Regina Beavers who actually won. What is with me and the Miss Jamaica them in the early 2000s. I think she is the mother of Wayne Marshall's first child before he got married to Tommy. But
Okay.
I know her. She won Miss Jamaica as well, and then that is Doctor um Michael Abrams on the other side,
You
who is
know, me then ask you for him.
him. He's a friend of mine.
Me then ask you, you know.
Friend. The amount of people me
Oh
recommend
my.
to watch him, but
Yeah.
surprisingly, I can't go. No, I send everybody to him because my friend must not look up into my Nope.
Go and make the man check you out.
No, I send people to him. I personally don't go. I can't go. Me and Lady saw after a performance. Sandra, somebody I admire for her tenacity throughout the year. What's your name now? She name Marianne Hall. Yeah, that was a picture of me and Lady saw after a performance that she had. This is the body. What is the name? The body snatcher. Mike McCallum. Big boxer.
Oh
So
my, that's Mike.
yeah, Mike, the body snatcher.
Oh wow, I remember Mike.
After an interview,
Yeah.
nice person.
Who is this?
Ah, this is Sharon Simpson. Sharon Simpson.
Where was this? You remember where this
It
was?
was at a birthday party for Khalees Spencer, another the 400 runner,
Okay.
and we everybody was just snapping picture. Me say if them a snap picture, me a snap picture too.
But of course.
And then a less than me. This is one of my favorites because
No,
I
you
think
see where you go
everybody.
with yourself right now. You see where you go
Oh,
with
you know
yourself.
so. Everybody
Eh?
have a picture with a surfer, and everybody have a picture with Ukraine. Me in the middle of the two of them.
And you go make sure you go in and mingle.
The man them a have them conversation, And everybody they round like, all right, make them done talk. Means like make who done talk. And at the time I remember I had actually had my camera. We said, no, We said, gentlemen, move over, I'm coming in. I remember and I go on my hand is like, and I was like, this woman not easy. But yeah, because
But
I always
Nikki,
say, you see, and it's my husband and I saw for my baby father.
but Nikki, you know
So
what they say. You know what they say. If nothing happen, man, people have to run. At the one where they at the back, I go get catch. You know. Now you go each up beside them two runner. You know.
the
And something
man,
happen. Are
man,
you are gonna be
me
dead
one
last?
round there. And then gone left me.
They
Can
would
tell you
have
that
they would
much.
have to lift you up and run with you.
And that ain't gonna happen.
Who is
All right.
this?
This is a musician from the group Roots Underground. That's what I
Uh-huh.
was I don't remember his name. But that group is pretty famous. It was at a a fair, Ligani Art Fair.
But
I
me see
remember
you with camera, Nikki. So you take
I
picture
was
too.
working. I was
You
doing
take picture too. Me
jewelry.
think you does
Yes,
right.
no. Um, at the moment, not so much because my camera is down. But yeah, I used to do both. There were
Oh,
times when there were no photographers around,
and
and
you
I
are
had a
tickets.
photograph. And it used
Yeah,
to. What I found with me is that I don't claim to know the nuances of photography. I never studied
you
it.
can't help yourself.
But and not only I can help myself. What used to happen, the photographers every time what me want, by the time we find them, the people them move off, or the
Mm-hmm.
people them gone. So sometime I was not getting the shots that I want. And one thing about Christine King, her thing was this: the story and the pictures must line up. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they did not. And so I remember when my husband got a camera, it became my camera because it never leave the neck. So
Mm-hmm.
I used to take pictures just for myself because I mean I want the photographer thinks that me I try eat them food. But
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes when they weren't able to work or they had a previous engagement, they would just say, "All right, go and take the picture yourself." I'm just like, okay. So that's what I started doing.
Okay.
This is me and Maka Diamond. I don't remember where this was. It looked like a book launch. Yes, is when she did. She had written a book.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was at her book launch. Look good for a
Peer
big man.
smile, a peer teeth. Me see na this, you know.
Sensor teeth. This is actually a very good picture. If I did just
Yeah,
stuff it in the belly, it would have
peer
been perfect.
teeth. All right.
Me and my baby father again. Baby
Mm-hmm.
husband. I
The one
really.
you seal it, Nikki. This is a couple. This is a couple.
Ah, this is a couple.
Yeah.
Somebody don't tell Aisha, but this is a
Even though you
couple.
look frightened, then I make you look so frightened though.
We don't know what it is. I think it's just his magnetism because he is a
Okay.
sexy man. He is
Okay.
a very handsome man.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so this was the birthday girl. This is Khalees Spencer. She does
Mm.
400 meters.
Okay.
Um, and found out after this party and everything that she's actually my husband's cousin. Yes, our world smart.
Wow.
So we went to the country, went to St. Elizabeth, and we're talking to some family, and her name came up, and found out that yeah, I'm family. I mean, it's like so all this while, and we never knew. Met on
Mm.
everything, tried to keep in contact. Siobhan again.
Oh, we did this one already.
Yeah. This is Vivica Fox. This was in Montego Bay. They came down for some. Was it her birthday? I think so. She is such a effervescent person. Very nice interview. I just done the interview and she's like, so you don't want a picture? And he's like, because me know enough bother them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I try to read vibes
Yeah.
and she's like, say no one picture. He's like, oh yeah, no, but me want picture. Me say, okay. So we
I
ended up
really love, yeah, I love her. I love her movies.
yes, she's a very nice person to deal with, nice
Yeah.
person to
Really nice.
interview.
Oh, I think okay. So see you then know what I do
Right.
your
Have me a shoot.
photography work.
Photography, photojournalist.
Right.
You know, you have to
Photojournalist.
be a jack of all trades. I hope you master even a half of
Yes.
them.
Because as you say, you know what you want. You know what
Yes,
you're
I
looking
know
for
what
to
I
go
do.
with the story.
Because I
Right.
even learned this lady, I don't remember her name, but she is one of the women who was in the game. The comedy the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That the Morley sisters was in. I don't remember her name. I never did know her name. But
Okay.
that night everybody was just taking pictures. So
Yeah.
she's one of those black American actresses that yeah, was doing her thing. She was in the game.
Okay. And we saw this one already. All right. I think that's the catalog that we have.
Yeah.
But Irwana, I know for a fact that whole heap more picture there. You
Wall
know? Whole
Wall
heap more picture there. You've
Wall
been at this how long now, Nikki?
uh 2001. Yeah.
That's a
2001.
long time. That's a long time.
Right.
And this is a journalism. I mean, and we could talk about other things as well. I mean, you're into advocacy, you're into guidance, counseling, and all of that. I wanted to focus on the journalism.
Right.
Um, it's a very sensitive job. It's a
Mhm.
delicate job. You have to balance, on the one hand, the reader needs to know, the public needs to know. On the other hand, you have to respect the privacy of the person that you're interviewing or the person that you're writing about. Um, sometimes it's really classified information that has been entrusted to you, and what are the obligations that you have as a journalist in terms of not revealing your sources,
Right.
protecting the information that has been entrusted to you.
For me, I have found out that um, in addition to that, I don't want to do any more harm. So even though I'm asking you to recount something that might be traumatic, I'm asking in a particular way. And if I see where it's going to go down a particular rabbit hole, I will stop. I know they say to get the story at any cost, but I don't believe that. And I've had meetings with bosses who have pretty much tell me, say, I'm not ready for this yet. And I tell them that I said at the end of the day, I'm a human being and I have to respect the rights
Yeah.
of the people who I interview. I've seen there was a particular picture in the Observer. It had nothing to do with me. A woman who had, I think, lost her child, and the woman was bawling. And the picture that was used was her head was thrown back, and you could literally see her tonsil. That's
Mm-hmm.
how they took the picture of the woman in the middle of this grief. And I
Yeah.
was upset. I'm like, why would they use that? I said they would have never did use it if the woman had come from Upper St. Andrew. So why
Mm-hmm.
don't you use it because the woman poor? And them said, but look at the story. I said you could have used a more dignified picture. I'm
Absolutely.
not by that.
Yeah.
And then cuss me out and then tell me, say, me not care. Me say, only have one rule for poor people and one rule for people who are not poor. I said I didn't like it. And if I realize that a story is being spun a particular way, I'm gonna tell her, say, me never write that story, yeah. Don't put my name on the story. I want nothing to do with it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want any credit or any byline because story must evoke emotion, but it mustn't hurt or have repercussions. And what I mean by that, this lady was asking for help. She had several children. I think two of them must be on the road begging and whatever. But the way the story was written, I didn't write the story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it wasn't CD at the time, but the authorities stepped in and took the woman's children. And I'm like, but the woman come to no for help.
Help.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I want to write this story, then check where the woman pick them. I want to cause it.
Exactly.
And them up in arms and them talk about, she's on, I said, why is the, me say, poor, being poor don't make her an unfit mother. Yes, our children shouldn't be on the road. But she's a loving mother. The woman come to know because she want to better herself and help her children. And based on what Uno was writing, this is what happened. And I did not stop until I get them to do a follow-up story. I kept calling the lady to ask her if she get back her children. I think she got back the older one them. And like they said afterwards, that like they said, she needed to have like a proper home in place for the smaller one them. So me
Mm-hmm.
start call food for the poor, see if them can get a house because the bottom line is I was distressed because something that I was associated with, even though I didn't write it, caused
Yes.
the woman to lose. I said, can you imagine not having your children? The woman called me every day a ball. Me don't know what it, I felt awful. I
Yeah.
felt like I was a part of it, and I'm like, me not stop till me get the woman back. I pity them eventually. Thank God. I remember she got them back. You just have to not do any harm,
Any
not
harm,
do
do
any
no harm.
drama.
Yeah.
I remember
So
there was
much of
one story,
journalism is just sensationalism.
right? And I can't be bothered with that.
Mm.
There was a lady that lost about four of her children in a car accident. Like they all piled up. This was like early, early, early. There was all piled up to go to something like the beach. And you know, I know nothing back in the days to 11 people there in a one five-seater vehicle.
Mm.
Crashed and I think almost everybody died, but she lost four children and we had to go down there and do the story. And the grief, it was palpable. And yes, I'm writing the story and I want ball, but me I hold it in. And I asked her if she have pictures of the children, and she had pictures of three, and she had one picture of the last one, and she said, "It's the only picture I have. Please, I need it back." Remember, I said this before. I could have just take my picture, my phone, and take the picture. I don't like them days, and I said, "I'll, I'll get the picture back to you." Story came out, and I said, "Okay, I need to give back the lady her picture." I remember when I went to where pictures and those things were kept, then can't find the woman picture. Come on, my head start hurting because I gave this woman my word I would give her back her child's picture.
Yes.
The woman said she have had a child at that age. And my name tap. It took months. Me say, them say it not dead, so because of that, me say, maybe when I accidentally file it somewhere. Me never stopped till me find the picture. And when I went back down there, the woman moved.
Oh my. Have you ever had any case where, after writing a story, somebody call you up and say, "Boy, Nikki, you give out too much information," or has it ever gone to the extreme where you were taken to court for libel or anything like that? You wanna?
Why? There are two cases.
Mhm.
One is with an attorney that recently died, whose last name rhymed with nothing.
Oh my goodness! All right.
All right, there was a big dispute with a piece of land in St. Thomas at a place named Lethal.
Uh-huh.
And we wrote the story. And I remember I interviewed about 12 people. And you always have to give the people a chance to tell their side, as in her. I'm a caller, and the woman proceeded to trace me up on the phone. So the story went without, because she never gave me a quote. But the people came with, when in nowadays they would say, you have your receipts. But I'm talking back then, the people literally had physical receipts. So I could write the story based on what was said, that money was missing and blah, blah, black sheep. And the woman called and the woman threatened me. What she gonna do to me? Oh, me for watch me back. No, remember, say, I bust me taking out. And I also knew the power of this person at the time.
Yes,
So for
very
about two
powerful.
weeks, everyone me got me.
Yeah, fair watch.
You understand? There was this other case where this man who, when we say the man big in Jamaica, and one of them Lebanese gentleman, big, now call him one Wally Pastor, but one of his employees came to us to say that they were not being paid fairly and was being paid less than what the government stipulated minimum wage was. And the person had their pay slip, and it turned out the person was right. And at the time, my coworker had an instrument that you could put on the phone that record the conversation. I never had that instrument. Me just have my notebook and what was being said. Thank God I was a secretary, so I could speed write and shorthand. When the story come out, the man tell me say him not telling me none of what come in there. My boss stood beside me and say, if a that she say him say, she never tell no line on a previous story. So I say, why should I go start tell lie on this man now? And the man filed a ratted piece of lawsuit against we. But after that, he eventually dropped the suit. Cause this man a ram forgot what to do with them. That's the one thing about him. Then he realized that he didn't know that the person had carried physical receipts to us. So when he realized that in case not look so strong again, he drop a case. Those are the only two times when I can say. You
Right.
see, we didn't need one blue boot to go climb 11 steps to go to court. Um,
Yeah. So, it's important that you represent your, I'm gonna call them clients.
right,
you know, the persons who you interview, because we're not there when things happen. We go,
right,
and the person whether it's an eyewitness or whoever, depending on the angle of the story. We just report and we
Mm-hmm.
want to get to the truth, get to the bottom of things, and represent people as best as we can. What are
Right.
the perks of this job? Me used to do it. I mean, I love writing. I love delving into things and bringing out information. But me used to love the free food.
You know what?
And you get access to places, that
Right.
typically you would. Tell me some of the perks of this
All
job.
right. Those two, especially the access. Um, I've been to the four corners of this island. I've enjoyed the hotel trips. Oh God. Why come on, me not to the land? Let me start.
The
Let me the
mansions.
mansions, the villas, the
Yes.
helicopter ride. When people are
Oh
talking about
my.
Mr. Girl, and I talk about Mr. Let me say you've been on helicopter. Me say not once, not twice. Huh? I saw the Cessna plane that chartered to take us to Turks and Caicos. What you talking about,
Uh-huh.
girl?
Uh-huh.
Understand? When people
Tell them
want
for
come,
me.
people come and say been there, done that. That's why nowadays when I see these young journalists, and because I'm not in mainstream anymore, and I do a lot of PR, and like them like, who is she? I mean, it's like if me read enough of my resume, uno go
But
sit
just
down.
look at
Sometimes we
the
just give them a
little
little.
tiny
The
fraction of
little
it.
yes, people them like them think them all that. When
Yeah.
they can write a good bio. But I just look on them sometime and nobody. But I digress. Back to the perks. So
Yeah.
the access to places. I've been able to travel through this job. I've gone overseas, been to England, been to about five, six countries in the Caribbean. Um, and I like traveling for work. I like it. I like traveling in general, even though some people call it a hassle. Meeting new people, because that's what I said to myself. Sometimes you meet some amazingly nice people, and then the ones who are not nice, I don't have to see you again. So I
Yeah.
just put on my professional face, grit my teeth, and do what I need to do. And you go your way, and I go mine.
So only for money night.
Um, we're talking about the perks here. Money is not the perk. Too many journalists in the past used to die broke and people have to chump up money to look
Yeah.
after the medical bills or whatever. Too many. Too many. It is not I used to tell people say this job Mr. Yes, Mr. Uno look for Katie Couric and them people they are foreign. They say yes, Mr. We don't get them the breed of money there. It's nothing like what they get. They are well paid in foreign, they're not well paid in Jamaica. And nobody explained to me also that electronic media pay better than newspaper, than newsprint. Maybe
Yeah.
what they go there for the money. They do get better pay than us.
But your
Um,
heart really is at the writing, as
at
you said.
writing at the end of the day. So the pay is far from great. It certainly ain't about the money. It's about love of people and love of telling a story. Put
Yes.
your words together to evoke emotion, a certain kind of emotion in your readers at the end of the day. I remember in the early days, a big thing for me was I used to just sit down and look at my byline and say, wow, see me name there.
Yeah.
My name that. No, that don't matter to me. I've done so many ghostwriting for people. Um,
We're
because
not seeing it. We're not seeing. We're seeing the head top.
oh sorry. Better?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I've done a lot of ghostwriting. Um, I have no problem with that. People want things done, you just do the work and you get paid for it. I don't need a byline. I know at this point I know who I am and I know what I bring to the table. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have to see my name attached to the top or the bottom of anything.
Is this a job you'd recommend to youngsters? And if you're recommending it, what precautions would you give? What advice would you give?
If you like people and you like being out there and you never want and you don't wanna be and you don't want a job that's boring, this is the job for you. It's always exciting. There's always something breaking if you're doing news or investigative. This is Jamaica. Jamaica ever keep. When I say Jamaica ever keep, you always there's always something going down. Always something that you have to run with and say, boy, I forgot to on top of this. Um, Jamaica is an exciting place to be and to live. It is the Mecca of the Caribbean for a reason. Good, bad, and indifferent. I would just caution you. Do it for the love of it. Have certain things in place so that you can still pay your bills. And you also have to understand that with this excitement, sometimes if you're doing news and investigative work, it can be dangerous. I have had one shot whiz past me and I feel like
Wow.
from my stomach. And say, remind me why am I here again? And why taking me off? I'm
You
not
ever
supposed
have to
to
go
get
undercover?
fever. Huh?
You ever have to go undercover for get a story?
No, no, because I left investigative pretty early and went to social. I
Yeah.
know I would have done that eventually. I've always wanted to do that, but no, I've never had to go undercover. But I've been in some garrison sometime where you walk in and it's peace and safety, and then you hear pie pie, and say jump in the vehicle and take for yourself. Gunshot
Mm-hmm.
was past me already. I will give you this the most the closest I've been to something that just completely to this day wrapped my brain. It was after it wasn't the Tivoli incursion, it was long before that. It was the time when Renato and the security forces had the shoot off with the gentlemen in Tivoli. So they were trading shots back and forth, and people were showing the holes in their housing. And I remember I had to go and interview a teenager who, in her, in her home, the bullet got through the wall and went through her eyes. So she lost
Oh,
her eyes.
wow.
And they put it on the cover, the picture, with her blind.
Oh
I
my.
wrote her story. I remember, I think I got did I get an award for it? When me decide, say, me, I make people realize what these people went through.
Yeah.
I put, it's like when you season the pot, you put your toe in it that day there.
Yeah.
And I remember afterward we were doing follow up, so we went back down to Tivoli. Well, let me tell you something about them inner city there. You can't catch them people they unaware because somebody always looking. And this was before 2010 when the incursion came. Them little pitney where you see a play. Them not just play, them are also look out.
Mm.
So we drove up. I drove up in a marked vehicle so them know who we be. And we went there and I was doing follow up stories. I was interviewing a man, had my notebook, and the man had talked to me. And something never sit right with me. Something just never sit right with me. And the fear at the back of my head stand up. And somebody say, just glance behind you. When I glanced behind me was about a group of about 8 men, and there was a table set up, and they were all oil and a clean up. I saw, me never me never saw it right. Now not about gun, but me say gun, long gun, short gun, all kind of gun. Them a pull down, and all of them a look at me, and me look at them, and me turn around and continue my interview. And when me done, he said, all right, see you know, all right. Jump in the vehicle. And so when the vehicle pull off, I had a meltdown. I said, Lord Jesus, Mr. Gun, man! Mr. Gun, man! Mr. Gun! Mr. Gun! Why? Mr. You talk about some serious gun, Mr. Gun, you know. Mr. Gun. When I say gun, hey, the man, the island Vaseline upon a post.
Oh my God.
And it's like, you know what you knew had to do was just like, it's just another day. You think me could have turn around and like approach them. Then the
You
photographer
just put
was
on your
there,
poker face.
and the photographer came with me. And then he said, yes, the gun, Nikki. If I didn't even lift up that camera there to take a picture, the dead in my spot.
Yup.
Me-
Uh-huh.
So when me go back now, and me burst in the newsroom, and me tell my editor, Mr. Richard, Mr. What's the gun, man? One holy gun, man, a clean gun. You know, so when I take pictures, so when the body from is like, I say, man, you know, what sitting not to no come back here, no picture. We don't know no proof. You
Wait,
know,
you should have sent Mr. Richards down there.
me say, I read, you know what I said, come give him a family. Me say, what you a madman? I will never forget that because I'll be the pan. Me, see gun man.
I
Oh no,
mean,
yeah, that to me,
it is a life-threatening job, you
that
know?
it is.
It is
It
a
is. I've been pulled
life-threatening
over
job.
already in because the vehicle was unmarked. Um, police and soldier pull we out, and a pat we down. I don't say a word. I put up my hand, the female come and pat we down, and them a point up. What wanna do in here? How long gonna in here? And it wasn't. I wasn't gonna show them. Nuh-uh. It wasn't until them find the ID that then calm down. Because I was like, that is. I said, this is how I work and I know harass people at the time. This is what I do. This is how I. And then I apologize. I said, I apologize because I now know who we are. But I said, this is what people go through every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The work ain't no easy, man. You have
That
to
their daily life. Have you received any awards as yet for your stellar contribution?
know because I left um, investigative journalism like maybe after a year and a half. So everything after that was mainly social. I didn't win for the piece for the girl that lost her eyesight. I was nominated but did
Mm-hmm.
not actually win. After that, I did a piece on child labor in Jamaica that was I think it was a three part. I want to say me do my homework and my research. I
Mm-hmm.
did my homework and my research, but me have a boss named Desmond, which was at the time who played politics with my entry. I remember for that year because he wanted to go for PAJ president and he was having some problem with the organization. So when me think say entry gone in, because me I tell her say me not brag, me say it was a sure win. Man not enter nothing.
Mm.
I, of course, of course, trust me. So no, and I regret that. I
Yeah.
regret that because to me, you need to. I don't want to say compete with your peers, but you need to. Your work need to be held up against the light and scrutiny to say, you understand at some point and say, okay, I am in league or my work is comparable with the best that is out there.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
never got an opportunity.
Well, in wrapping up, Nikki, tell us whenever got a chance to, really go into your other job. But I want you to just mention some of the other things that you do and the contribution you make to the lives of the youngsters in Jamaica.
Why the amount of work we me do? Um, I am a trained gynecologist. Even, Jesus, take him
You
off.
hear that?
Guidance counselor.
Run competition with Michael.
I
You're
don't know
Michael
if
foot
that is if that is something down the road because I always wanted to be a midwife. So that's another story. I'm
Yeah.
a trained guidance counselor. I don't know how gynecologist. I think we're talking about Dr. Abraham. I'm a trained guidance counselor. Worked for a year at Duane Park Primary School. Um, I love children. I really love other people's children. What I mean by that is I raise one. Me no know how you do it. Come on. Me like children, so at the end of the day, me can give them back. Or maybe after a weekend. Make me, That's why I love my godchildren. I spoil them and then I send them home. But in terms of advocacy, I remember I was sharing with somebody recently that the thing with me, why I think I'm good at what I do, is because Jamaica, we tend to be very authoritarian in how we deal with children. It's the way our parents socialized and raised us, and we do the same thing. So we like to tell them what to do. We like to tell them what to eat. We like to tell them what to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember as a child, my mother used to put me in some ugly sitting. I mean, never like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I made sure that when my child was old enough, she could choose for
Yes. Give them
herself.
some
You
autonomy.
must know what you
Yes.
feel comfortable in. We like
Yes.
a top down approach. We like to tell children what to do. And there's nothing wrong with somebody being an adult and somebody being an authority. But you also have to realize they have a voice. And sometimes we need to, even us being the adults, we need to listen to what they are telling us and not only always be dictating to them.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we want them to feel comfortable to come to us and to share with us. And they're not going to do that if we're always the one who browbeat them and tell them so them now have no manners. and they're rude. Although
Mm.
them are picking nowadays, they're really rude. But you have to give them wings to fly and to express themselves to a
Yeah.
degree. You can't express yourself without being rude. You can tell me your opinion without being rude. What is it that you
Exactly.
like? What is it that you want to do?
Mm.
What do you see yourself doing? Everybody picnic can be Dr. Liar, Indian chief, and a lot of us like to tell our children, well, you are going to be the liar, you are going to be the doctor, you are going to be the architect. Suppose what they want is to be the very best cosmetologist in Jamaica. Support them dream. We're going
Yeah.
to tell them that not bringing in no money. But that
Yeah.
is where their passion lie. We need to listen more and talk less. And that is what I think why I have a good rapport with not just my own godchildren, but children in general. And that is
Yeah.
why I say me a picnic advocate. Me like to listen to what they have to say.
You describe yourself as a forensic psychologist. What's that? What them big word they mean, Nikki?
I am okay. Let me tell you, I am a forensic psychologist associate. I
Okay.
add the associate because to be a forensic psychologist, I have to go to the doctoral level. I
Mm.
have just finished my master's, so I'm at the master's level.
Okay.
So I am an associate. In other words, I can do the work, but to take off the associate, I have to get one more piece of paper. And
All
Jesus,
right.
I don't know if I'm gonna do it. But a forensic, 'cause to get here, it was the hardest thing I ever did because me used to say I wasn't very smart. Then me realized that nothing wrong with me. I was just not motivated. And then I
Mm.
got motivated. Because when I started school, I say, as long as me pass the course, me good. And then I realized that was not true. I did a complete 80 as an adult from when I was a child. As a child, it never mattered what the grade was.
Mm.
Now, if me get less than A minus, Nikki have a problem.
Yeah.
Me not like to not less than A. My first degree, I graduated with a 3.7, and all my friends tell me how brilliant I am, and I was not happy, even though it was a second class honors. I wanted the
Yeah.
first class.
Yeah.
This one, I graduated with a perfect 4.0.
Oh,
Every course,
awesome.
get the
Awesome.
highest grade.
Mm.
It wasn't easy because I'm telling you, you see, when you have to do, especially like they use the diagnostic tools and the assessment tool, and come on, let me tell you something. I found that on some page. Then why you have to read that and tell you what the person I go through by reading that. I mean, look on them and say, me a that expert. What them that you for? And a little time, me take up the laptop to chuck it through the window and say, I am done. This is not for me. The head
Mm.
tough. Me nah. But you know, you have people who eventually talk you off the ledge and say, you come this far, go
Yeah.
on. I'm say, all right, explain the foolishness to me one more time and make me see if I can get it.
Yeah.
Eventually, I do. So a forensic psychologist, basically, it's a it's a specialty where you provide psychological services, but it is in a judicial or a legal setting. So in other words, our work have a lot to do with the court system,
Mm.
mediation, people who say if a man get up and lick down a policeman, me have to tell you if him competent to stand trial, if he is fit to plead,
Oh.
you understand? Or if him mental state, him it not chipping back yet, so him still not ready to be brought
Okay.
before the court. So instead of you putting him through a complete trial, you might want to, you understand,
Mm.
give him some medication or give him some therapy or just put him in a institution like Bellevue until certain things can be done. So it's my job to assess certain things. So it's a lot of child custody, child mediation,
Yeah.
things that people bring before the court that you need somebody with a psychological background. That's where that's our strength. So we do all the other things that the others do, but we also have to work with the ethics of the court. And the main difference between us and the other one is that in regular psychology, the client is the person that you interview or you have your sessions with.
Mm.
That is your client. In forensic, the client is the court.
Oh,
Your
okay.
job is to the court. You interview the person, Certain things might still be confidential, but you let the person know beforehand that you understand the transcript or the information will be passed on to the judge, maybe in the judge's chamber or wherever. The court is the person you are reporting to.
Okay.
While in the other one, the client is the person who comes into your office. With this one, the court are your client.
Well, anytime me ready to commit my crime, them me go and come to you
Why?
for you explain to the people them. They need to give me a blind because I'm not fully writing
But
all the
come
time.
on, can I tell you nobody do it because I can't help you. Here why? I went into psychology because that was the thing. Me say, me have so much friend who not too stable, and I was always counseling people. Very good at giving advice. Great at it. And me say, then if me a nah get pay for give so much advice, me might as well go school, go get trained, to get pay for give advice. Then me realize say, you cannot counsel or work with your friends. It is unethical. So me can't
Oh,
help you. I have to say
no.
from the minute you step into the courthouse, me say, can I be excused?
A good
Because
thing you tell me.
yes, because you can't. All right, this is what you can do. If you come to me, I can't have you as my client because I
Oh,
know you. I can't give you therapy or counseling. I can only give you advice. You see what you say?
oh,
I would have to give it to you, would have to lock off a tape recorder, put on the file and say, all right, woman to woman, this is what me say. And I can talk to you, but I can't counsel you or have a therapeutic session with you.
okay. I
Because you
did
can't
not know
counsel
that.
me. Let me say, I went me in a second year, me say, then after me go through all of this, and now not tell me say me can't counsel my
So
friend
your
them.
mad friend them depend on their own.
They still depend on their own and worry for them and wait for me to come. Me can't help them. It's unethical. It has to be somebody
Okay.
who don't have
I get
any.
it though. I get it. I
Yeah,
get it. I
yeah.
get it.
Because
Yeah.
the thing is, they say you will not be impartial in what you tell them. So it
Yeah.
don't make sense. You go either go too strict or be too lenient.
Yeah.
You're not going to
Okay.
do them justice. No,
Hmm.
because you're biased.
Nikki, it has been an absolute pleasure, and I really hope down the road you can come back because there are so many other questions I have to ask you.
Yeah, I
Maybe if
understand.
we can find some more time down the road, we will do a
Right,
second part.
right. I hope your viewers were edutained. I hope I wasn't too
Yes.
boring because I tell
Oh, never. You know, hear me tell the people them from the get go.
you,
You are never boring. I've never known you to be boring.
all right.
So I want to thank you again, Nikki,
Thanks
and
for
we
having me.
touch base. Yeah, and I'll you know, find out when you can come back because may have a ton load of other questions.
Okay, no
So
problem.
yeah, so we're wrapping up,
All right.
and thank you viewers for staying with us, and we'll see each other on the next episode. Somebody's got to do it.
All right.